I'd like to call to order the June 9th, 2015 meeting of the Millcreek Township Supervisors. We'll begin with a pledge of allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there any public comment on agenda items other than development or rezoning applications? Moving on, we'll go to approval of minutes. We have before us the May 26, 2015 meeting minutes. If there's no additions or corrections, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the minutes from last meeting.
I'll second it.
Mr. Groh?
Yes.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next is the approval of bills. We have before us the bills of 6/9/2015 for the township, and I don't see any sewer revenue. And I think that's it.
Unless they're part of this.
No sewer revenue.
Cheryl,
Okay.
no sewer revenue bills? Okay, yeah, Jerry has them.
Oh, here they are, okay. And we also have the bills for the sewer revenue from June 8th, 2015. If there's no additions or corrections to the bills, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move we pay the bills.
I'll second.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Groh?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next, we have the announcement of bids and quotations received. The first is for the 2015 bituminous seal coat project. It was a rebid. Mr. McGrath?
As you may remember, a couple of weeks ago, we rejected bids for seal coating. This was a joint project done with Harbor Creek Township, Northeast, Green, Millcreek, Amity, and Venango. Oh, and Greenfield Township. It was the feeling of the group representatives and Mark Corey, who we used as a consulting engineer for this project, that the bids were higher than anticipated and higher than they should have been due to a recent new regulation put in effect by PennDOT. After consulting with PennDOT and learning that those regulations may be less restrictive than originally anticipated, we went out for bid a second time, and it's a good thing that we did. The bids the second go-round were significantly less than the first. The new bids submitted by Russell Standard were for $0.977 per square yard. For suit coat was $1.0769 per square yard, and it's the recommendation of the representatives of the group and of Mark Corey that the contract be awarded to Russell Standard. The bid this year for 2015 is 2 cents more than 2014, but it's actually 9 cents less than 2013. And it's also significantly less, 10 cents less than the first time we went out for bid. By going out for bid the second time, we actually saved the municipalities a combined total of $74,595. So I would move that Russell Standard be awarded that contract. The township's, Millcreek Township's portion of the contract is for 18,400 square yards at, as I stated, $0.977 per square yard, and I'll move approval of that.
I'll second that.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Groh?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next, we have group life, accidental death and dismemberment, and long-term disability insurance policies. Jerry?
Yes, the current policy through Sun Life Insurance was due to expire on June 1. So through benefit administrators, our third-party administrators, they solicited bids for life insurance, accidental death and dismemberment, and long-term disability insurance for all of the township employees and police officers. The quotes, Sun Life's renewal, the total monthly premium would be $10,078.41. There was a quote from Dearborn Life Insurance for $9,834.45 per month. Standard Insurance Company, the monthly premium would be $9,510.61. And a bid from Assurant Life, total monthly premium $8,883.02. I would recommend it to the board that we award a contract to Assurant Life effective June 1 of 2015. That is the low bid, by
Is
the
there
way.
any comment by the board?
No, I'll make the motion to approve that.
I'll second it.
Mr. Grow?
Yes.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next is for the COG joint purchasing of street signs and posts. Brian?
Okay, the COG recently had a bid opening on May 22nd for the purchase of street signs and posts, catch basins, culvert and drainage pipe. I'll go through those. The first is for the signposts, bolts, and assemblies. It's the recommendation that, well, there were 4 bids received from Chemung Supply, U.S. Municipal Supply, Vulcan Signs, and Walsh Equipment. The recommendation of the COG to go with Chemung. They offered the lowest price with no conditions, and I'll move approval of that.
I'll second that.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Grow?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Next is for the street markings, blanks, and materials. U.S. Municipal Supply, Vulcan Signs, and Walsh Equipment all submitted bids. The lowest was from Vulcan Signs, and I will move that they be awarded that contract.
And I will second that one.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Grow?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
And for catch basins, we received bids from Waterford Precast, which is Summit Construction, and also McGill Septic Tank Company. Ann Sokol from our engineer in the engineering department made a recommendation that although McGill's prices are lower, she recommends awarding the catch basins to Summit Construction. McGill Septic Tank is not listed on Bulletin 14 of PennDOT's list of approved suppliers. And if we are to use liquid fuels money to purchase these, which we would not be permitted without that inclusion on Bulletin 15. So it's Ann's recommendation that the contract be awarded to Waterford Precast Summit Construction, and I'll move approval of that.
I'll second that.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Grow?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Lastly is tree removal?
First, we have the culvert and drainage
Oh,
pipe.
I'm sorry,
Also-
culvert and drainage pipe.
Also through the COG. Ann reviewed these bids we received from ADS, Advanced Drainage System, and the local distributors are Green Distributors and Chemung Supply, and also for Bauman Pipe, which is through Walsh Equipment. Ann's recommendation is awarding the contract for 8-inch HDPE, 12-inch HDPE, and the 15-inch HDPE drainage pipe to Walsh Equipment for orders over 1/2 truckload. For smaller quantities, engineering recommends awarding to Advanced Drainage System, ADS, for the prices shown, and I'll go over those briefly. Both Green Distributors and Chemung Supply are authorized dealers for ADS. The difference being, on occasion, we do order small quantities, and we would not have to pay for the additional charges for having a small quantity. The 8-inch HDPE was $2.55 per lineal foot from ADS. 12-inch was $4.46, and the 15-inch was $5.70. For Walsh Equipment, the 8-inch was $2.43, 12-inch was $4.21, and the 15-inch was $5.62. All less expensive, but there's an additional charge if you have smaller quantities. So I would move that, through the recommendation of Ann Sokol, that the smaller orders be awarded to Green Distributors and Chemung Supply, and for loads over a half a truckload to Walsh Equipment.
And I'll second it with those stipulations on it.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Grow?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Now, on to tree
Now the
removal.
trees. From the Streets Department, tree removal at the corner of Charleston and Winburn. This is actually for 2 trees. First quote was from Dibbles for $600, from J. Thomas Tree Service for $485. A third quote was attempted to be received from Hazlitt, but they did not respond. So I would recommend that J. Thomas, I'll move that J. Thomas Tree Service be awarded the contract for those 2 trees
Yes.
for $485.
I'll second those.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Grow?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
We also have in the Evans Estate some significant tree trimming, not much tree removal, but tree trimming through the Evans Estate. Those trees in that area are very close to the road. They hang out over the road, and we're having trouble with semis and garbage trucks having a difficult time getting through that neighborhood. Rather than removing the trees, we'd like to try to trim them back and still make them look decent. So Gary Walters in the Streets Department obtained 3 quotes for that project. Hazlitt Tree Service, $11,845. Dibble Tree Service, $9,500. And J. Thomas Tree Service, $9,200. And it's Gary's recommendation that the contract be awarded to J. Thomas Tree Service, and I'll move approval of that.
Okay, I'll second that.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes,
Mr. Grow?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
that's it.
Next, we have application for right-of-way vegetation management permit. Mr. Morris?
This is something new that PennDOT is requiring, where we want to place trees within the PennDOT right-of-way. So they have us complete an application, which Jessica James, our recycling coordinator, has done, to place trees along Zook Road. And then PennDOT is asking for us, the township, to sign this. So we're requesting permission for the chairman, Mr. Gasky, to sign this for trees to be planted in the PennDOT right-of-way along Zook Road.
Is there any questions from the board?
I'll move approval.
I'll second that.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes,
Mr. Grow?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Road use agreements. This is for Henderson Road from June through September of 2015 from the Hickman Lumber Company. Mr. Morris?
Yes, they're estimating that they'll have approximately 40 truckloads of lumber coming off Henderson Road, and their route is to use Henderson Road before they get to state roads like Pleasant Road and Route 8. So we make sure that they have the proper insurances, and we check the roads to ensure that they don't do any damage to them, and if they do, they're liable for that. So we recommend that we approve the agreement for Hickman Lumber to use Henderson Road as they get about 40 truckloads of lumber out.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I'll move approval.
I'll second that.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes,
Mr. Grow?
Yes.
And I vote yes. And secondly is for Footmill Road, June through August of 2015, C. Miller Lumber. Mr. Morris?
That would be C. Miller Lumber, as you said, from Centerville, PA. They're estimating approximately 60 truckloads of lumber, and they plan on using Footmill Road and then going south to the Summit Township line, Arbuckle Road, and out that way. So we're recommending approval. They've signed the forms. They have the insurance that they're required.
Okay.
Is there a motion from the board?
I'll move approval.
I'll second that motion too.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes,
Mr. Grow?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next is an easement request from Mark J. and Sharon Gerlach easement for the West 26th Street Culvert Replacement Project. Mr. Morris?
We have a failing corrugated metal culvert that is located just east of Gerlach's Power Equipment Supply on the south side of 26th Street. And we've gotten the Gerlachs, Mark and Sharon, to sign and notarize the easement agreement so we can get in there and replace that. So I recommend approval of Supervisor signing this. It's for a 30 by 115-foot easement to replace a 6-foot high by 10-foot wide, 70-foot long corrugated metal pipe arch.
So any questions from the board?
Rick, is this a construction easement or permanent?
It's a permanent easement,
That's what I was
and it
gonna
allows for construction, repair, maintenance, and so on along the permanent easement.
Okay,
Okay, yeah, I'll go along. I'll make a motion to approve that easement agreement.
I'll second it.
Mr. Grow?
Yes.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next is a sidewalk deferral agreement for Carl J. and Patricia J. Zaleski, 3224 West 41st Street. Mr. Morris.
There are no sidewalks in the area. They have completed the form, which is the sidewalk deferral agreement, and we recommend approval.
Questions from the board?
I'll move approval.
Yep, I'll second that.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Grow?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next is the Millcreek Township Water Authority Board vacancy. Due to a recent resignation on the Water Authority of Daniel Eaton, we have an opening in the Water Authority. I think the board would like to thank Mr. Eaton for his service. He was a young gentleman. He was a young voice, and it's something that you like to see in a township where young people get involved. Unfortunately, Mr. Eaton has moved from Millcreek Township, and based on our regulations, of course, he can no longer serve on the board. From the Water Authority Board, we've received 3 names as a possible replacement. Mr. Thomas Putnam of 5124 South Jared Court, Mr. Hank Grego of 3950 Roxbury Road, and Mr. John DePlacido of 3005 West 53rd Street. I think all 3 of these individuals are familiar to the board. They all bring good credentials to the table, and what's the board's pleasure? Anybody have a motion on this?
I would move, like you say, Rick, all 3, I believe Dave, all 3 have served before,
That's right.
correct?
Okay.
All 3 have served on the Water Authority previously? Oh. Okay, all right. I would move that Hank Grego fill the vacancy created by Mr. Eaton's resignation.
And I'll second that motion.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Grow?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Communications, Jerry?
I don't have anything.
Brian?
I have a few things. First, from Gary Snyder in the Sewer Department. He would like permission to send 2 men to Somerset, PA to pick up the new service truck and to train on the crane. There's a small hoist being included with this service truck. It would mean the day's wages and vehicle for travel, and I would move approval of that.
Okay, I'll second that.
Public comment? Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Grow?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
From Bill Hitchcock, we have a few things here. The first is for the purchase of a BOMAG model BW55E single drum roller. This would be from Admar for the CoStar's price is $6,325. They are offering $4,500 for a trade-in for a net cost to the township of $1,825. We're trading in a 2-drum 2009 BOMAG roller, and we're purchasing a single drum roller. Bill says it's better suited and can be used with our hot patch machine, and I would move approval of that purchase.
I'll second that.
Public comment? Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Grow?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Also from Bill, he's recommending that the township purchase a Caterpillar 924K wheel loader from Cleveland Brothers for a price after trade of $111,737. This replaces a 10-year-old JCB at the recycling center. This is being purchased through a DEP 902 grant, and I'll move approval of that purchase.
Yeah, and I'll second that.
Public comment? Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Grow?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
And also from Bill, recommending that the township purchase a 2015 Chevy Silverado 2500 HD four-wheel drive work truck from Whitmoyer Chevrolet. This CoStar's price is $25,719.80, including delivery. Contract number is 44000-13726. It replaces a 1999 Ford F-250. And the money is in the budget for this purchase, and I'll move approval of that.
And I'll second that.
Public comment? Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Grow?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
And my last thing is from Ashley Barsteller, our Parks and Rec Director, for summer program employees. First is for Kylie Howland, Water Safety Instructor at $9 an hour. Olivia Menk, a Water Safety Instructor, $9 an hour. Leah Perkins, Water Safety Instructor, $9. Abby Spiker for $9 an hour. And also Robert Mitchell, a Assistant Supervisor at the Bell Valley Pool for $9 an hour. Julia Rayner, a Bell Valley Lifeguard, $765. Stephen Marn, Intermediate School Lifeguard, $765. And Amy Adams, a Bell Valley Lifeguard for $765. And I'll move approval of those hires.
Okay, I'll second that.
Public comment? Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Grow?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
That's it.
Okay, I've got a few things. First, from our IT, they're recommending the purchase of a 3-year proposal for Lightspeed. This is the point-of-sale system utilized at the Millfair Recycling Center for sales transactions. We've been using the Lightspeed for several years now and have no plans to replace it. Purchasing the software for 3 years in advance will afford the township a 10% discount on each year, with the 4th year being included free of charge, saving a total of $1,040. This system fulfills the requirements needed for Millfair to perform transactions as well as to track sales and invoicing for the location. And I would recommend that we go with Lightspeed for this point-of-service system, and that's in the form of a motion.
I don't know if you mentioned the total, but it's $2,160.
$2,160.
I'll second that motion.
Public comment? Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Grow?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next is from the Police Department. Permission retroactively for the Westlake Fire Department, the Fire Police, to conduct traffic control on Westlake Road at the Greek Orthodox Church, 4376 Westlake Road, on June 6th from 1,400 hours to 1,700 hours. The event scheduled is a wedding, and the written request, which has already been signed for approval by board members, comes from Fire Chief Richard Schau. And I would make the recommendation in the motion that we retroactively approve the use of the Westlake Fire Police.
I'll second that.
Public comment? Mr. Grow?
Yes.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next is for permission for Millcreek Township building maintenance personnel to post temporary no parking signs for the Millcreek Township 4th of July parade in advance of the event at the following locations: West 12th Street from Peninsula Drive to Ford Avenue, Marshall Drive from West 11th to West 20th, West 20th from Marshall Drive to Powell Avenue, Harper Drive from West 12th to West 15th Street. And I'd recommend approval in the form of a motion.
Okay, I'll second.
Public comment? Mr. Grow?
Yes.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next is from our Emergency Management Coordinator, Matthew Exley. He's requesting that we approve the following training request. Request permission to attend a G270.4 course titled Recovery from Disasters. It's the local government's role at the Erie County Department of Public Safety, and it takes place on June 22nd, 23rd, and 24th from 8 to 5. There's no cost for the course and travel via assigned township vehicle. This course also includes a train the trainer so that Mr. Exley can come back and hold the class for township employees free of charge. and I'd recommend approval in the form of a motion.
I'll second that.
Public comment? Mr. Grow?
Yes.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Second is for requesting permission for the 929 team to attend training at the Erie International Airport on June 24th for a class on structure to ARFF firefighting. Instructors are from Pittsburgh International Airport. 929 would be the second due company with the Westlake Fire Department for any airport incidents. There is no cost for this training. And I'd recommend approval in the form of a motion.
I will second that.
Public comment? Mr. Grow?
Yes.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Do you have this? Yeah, for traffic. You want me to do
Yeah,
it?
take that.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay. I've got several things here. First, this is from Diane Lyons, and it's regarding summer help for the traffic department to work with Dick Whitbread and Joe Bizzarro and Jeff Tenney. Summer help, Joshua Robinson, with a start date of yesterday at a rate of $7.65 an hour. I'll make that in the form of a motion to hire Joshua.
I'll second that.
Public comment?
Yeah.
Because of our 2-week meetings, we sometimes do things retroactively now. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Grow?
Yes.
Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Okay, and I have one more here. As Administrator of Administrative Services, this is from me, I request approval to attend a monthly meeting of the Pennsylvania Department of Labor and Industry Accessibility Board meeting on June 18th, 2015. All costs for lodging, meals, and transportation are covered by the Commonwealth. Asking for permission to do that.
I'll move approval.
And I'll second. Public comment? Mr. McGrath?
Yes.
Mr. Grow?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
That's all I have there, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, I have one more, I'm sorry. Folks, you probably have got your street light bills in the last couple of weeks. We have discovered that there is a slight error in the computation of that, and it's a program glitch in the computer service that was provided by a third party. We are in the midst of correcting that. Now, there are people that have paid their bill already, and if they've overpaid, they will be given a credit for their next bill. Those who may opt to, question the bill and have it adjusted now, we are able to do that for you. It does take some time to get that done. This is an error that's being corrected, so we're asking for your patience. But as I said, if you've already paid your bill, we're aware that it was overcharged. We will credit the overcharge for your next bill. If you wish to make a question about it now for your new bill, for anybody that hasn't paid it, we'll adjust it now. So we'll have a note sent out with the bills that go out next. It's about 15%, I believe. It varies depending on the contract of the neighborhood. So it's about 15%. Could be less, could be more. So I just want to make that announcement.
Evan?
Just something as a heads up, we're going to have on the agenda of the June 30th meeting a proposed resolution that would revise the rules and regulations governing emergency tows.
Yeah.
And I'm bringing it up because it's during the month of June that the police department goes out and inspects the establishments, and this would be a perfect time for the department to alert the firms in question to the fact that there are new rules. So I'm asking if the board has any objection to the department providing the firms with the proposed new rules prior to June 30th when they'll be acted on.
I have no
You do, or you don't have?
I don't have a
I have
problem.
no
Okay.
concerns.
Just for the record, and it will help the firms understand, some of the rates, maybe 2 or 3, are going up for the first time in 8 years. And there's also some additional requirements that all flow from a new state law that didn't exist the last time the rules were enacted, a law that maybe the firms don't even know exists that imposed duties on all towers. So we want to put that in the rules and regulations so the firms are aware of what the state's obligating them to do.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Cheryl? Rick? Citizens to be heard. If you'll please give us your name and address, and please sign in at the podium.
You know the drill.
I am a senior citizen, but I still can figure it out. Okay. D. Hartle, 5024 Luray Drive, 16506. I thank you guys for being so careful about our money when you're making these purchases and doing things for the township and the insurance and so on. But I do have a question, Mr. Grow. Have you rented the senior center yet?
No, we have not.
Okay, so, you know, it's about $67,000 has gone down the tubes so far since you put us out there.
Well,
Okay.
not me personally.
Yeah,
but if you
well-
want to call it that, it's fine.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're the one in charge here. You were our liaison.
Okay.
And it took your vote, I'm sure, to put us out.
It's three. There's
Well-
3 votes, ma'am.
I think we probably could have got maybe Mr. McGrath to go along with letting us stay there, since, you know. But anyway, I just wanted to say that you've told me every time I come here that
Yes.
you have somebody who's interested,
Right, and we did.
and you did.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think that you're going to find anybody to take that building because of how the building became empty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. We
So-
agree on something.
So you're losing. No, the money that you've saved here today,
Mm-hmm.
you've already lost it by making the payments for an empty building.
Possibly.
Yes.
Don't know.
You should
Don't know for
fil-
sure.
You should figure that out.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
So just to let you know that we're still thinking about what you did to us and how
Mm-hmm. Okay.
you did it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I understand that you're taking classes in Millerstown, or you did, for
yes, I did.
management?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you looking to be maybe the Millcreek the manager someday
No,
here?
no way. No.
That's good.
Contrary to some rumors going about, no way. No way, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's good.
It'll be
because-
somewhere in the Caribbean, probably.
Oh, good.
Yes, me too.
Far
That's
away.
way yeah,
Yeah.
far, far away. Thank you. Yes.
I just wondered, are the taxpayers paying for that?
No,
Okay,
no, I paid for that myself, ma'am.
okay,
Used my own time,
Mm-hmm.
my own money. Yeah,
okay.
no, I
That's-
would never expect the taxpayers to pay for my college fund.
Oh,
Thank you.
really? Okay.
Thank you very
That's
much.
good, yeah,
Yes,
that's good.
yeah.
All right, so we wanted to get into the parade. Do we get a form or something? Can we get a form somewhere for the 4th of July parade?
I don't know. Are they
There's a
still taking-
parade committee.
There's a
We have
parade
very little to do with the parade other than, supplying no parking signs.
I think if you wanted to do that, C, our Parks and Rec Director, she is the liaison with the actual committee.
Marsteller?
Pardon?
Yes.
Yes.
Ashley.
she's the
Oh,
actual-
Ashley? Okay.
She's the actual liaison with the committee. So the committee, she will forward any type of request
Is
to
there a
the committee.
deadline?
I would imagine, yeah.
It's probably coming up soon if it hasn't already.
I would go
About
right
3 weeks
upstairs
away.
to see Ashley after the meeting.
About
Okay.
3 weeks away now.
We will do that.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're still going to be coming in, just to let you guys know that we're still around and doing
Yes.
things.
Yes.
And we're really, doing very well down at the
Okay.
Stall Center, just to let
Okay,
you know.
very good. I
Yeah.
do have a question for you. What are the requirements to be a member there at the Stall Center, at the Joy Center down there?
We have an application, and
Okay, what, is there like an age limit,
Well,
maximum, minimum?
are you asking this question because you want to be a member?
I'm thinking about it.
Because you already asked us that earlier.
Yes, I'm
And
thinking
I
about
think
it.
that you were
I
just-
stepped back and I said, no, I think I am thinking about it now, so,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Is there,
Oh, well, you're old enough
Okay,
You know?
I know I'm old
We
enough,
know
but
that. Yeah,
I'm well
Yeah.
into that age that I can be a member there, so.
yeah.
Okay.
You are. And you can
Just curious.
invite your wife also.
Yeah.
And you can come to our parties and,
Sure.
and our potluck dinners.
roastings and stuff like that, I
Our
know.
line dancing and our yoga classes and
Ooh,
our
yoga's not good for
Qigong
me.
classes.
Bad hip.
And our art classes and things like that
Okay.
nature, okay?
Could be the roast,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can, yeah.
Okay.
Trivia, yeah, we have
Thank you.
trivia.
Yeah,
And you probably do very well at trivia, I would
could,
assume. Yeah.
never know.
Yeah.
You never know, ma'am. Okay, I'm just curious about
Okay,
that. Well, thank
yeah,
you.
Sure. You
Thanks.
Stop down and we'll be happy to see that you get
Okay,
an application. And we also have
okay.
the rules and regulations
Okay.
there, yeah.
Okay,
so-
I'm sorry I took some of your time there with
But that's
asking that
okay.
question there.
I
Okay.
don't care. I don't care
Okay.
about time. I've got all the time in the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I know I repeat myself, but if you would give us your name and address, and please sign in at the podium.
Yeah, Larry Dudinsky, 2502 Powell Avenue, Apartment 3. Okay, my grievance is with John Grow.
Yes.
I submitted several right-to-know requests that sort of like the Freedom of Information Act for Pennsylvania for emails between our three supervisors and Human Resources Manager Diane Lyons concerning hiring a new Director of Parks and Recreation. This is what I received in my response. These must be the emails that Supervisors Rick Fagaski and Brian McGrath discussed at the November 11th, 2014 Supervisors meeting, where Fagaski and Grow voted to hire Fagaski's niece as Director of Millcreek's Parks and Recreation Department. These emails were generated October 31st. Now I'm only paraphrasing. Human Resources Manager Diane Lyons. Two supervisors have made up their minds. Okay, hire Ashley. Rick Fagaski. No more interviews. Hire Ashley. John Grow. No more interviews. Other candidates overqualified. Although I don't know what John Grow could possibly know about being overqualified, but be that as it may, an exact quote from John Grow's email, quote, I also believe that through interviewing the other candidates we had, that they very well could be unhappy too soon. I think they have more to offer in their field of experience than our opening would offer. In other words, they might not be challenged enough with our job position. With that said, I would prefer not to interview anyone else. We would be wasting time in that effort. Hire Ashley Marsteller. John Grow, you basically say that the other candidates were too good for Millcreek. Now, what are we here in Millcreek? A bunch of underachieving dummies? Speak for yourself, John. We deserve the best and expect our supervisors to hire the best. John Grow, in your email, you essentially say that the other candidates, plural, your words, not mine, candidates, are too qualified and experienced, and therefore you would prefer not to interview anyone else. Our applicants are turning out to be too exceptional. Stop the interviews. Hire Fagaski's niece. A quote from your email concerning Ashley, quote, although her main focus is pool operations, she can learn the other aspects, unquote. Unbelievable. Wouldn't it make more sense to hire someone who already knows the other aspects rather than somebody who has to go through an apprenticeship or an internship and undergo on-the-job training? That attitude of yours is especially disappointing because one of your jobs as supervisor is to provide oversight for Millcreek's Human Resources Department. It's your job to make sure Diane Lyons and her department follow all township rules and regulations when hiring personnel to be employed by our township. In your oversight capacity, we expect you to be the taxpayer's watchdog and see to it that we get the most bang for our buck. Some watchdog. We pay for a stick of dynamite, and you're willing to settle for a firecracker. Why not hire the most qualified and experienced applicant? If you're the coach of an NFL football team looking to sign a new quarterback, and free agent Tom Brady applied for the position, I suppose you'd say, no thanks, Tom, you're overqualified. I think I'll sign Johnny Manziel instead. He'll fit in better with our crummy team. It's a good thing the Cleveland Cavaliers didn't have your attitude last year when LeBron James offered to play for them. Sorry, LeBron, we can't hire you. You're too good for us. We feel that you'll soon be unhappy here and not be challenged enough playing for the Cavaliers. We can't use you. Does LeBron James look unhappy and unchallenged playing for the Cavaliers? You hire the very best qualified and experienced person who is willing to work for you. You hire someone with the ability to inspire your department to become as great as he or she is, someone who leads by example. You don't turn an applicant like that down and instead employ a person who has only minimal experience and has to serve an apprenticeship to learn the other aspects of the job. We want to hire someone who will lift us up to their level of expertise, not drag us down to their level of incompetence and mediocrity. Well, John, you're not an NFL coach you're not an NFL coach or the general manager of the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's great news for them. Instead, you are a Millcreek supervisor, and that's turning out to be a disaster for us. I have a list of your responsibilities, the jobs we pay you to do as supervisor. Last year, you were responsible for the Millcreek Senior Center. Like Dee said, I don't want to rehash old battles. You took a thriving senior center and let it collapse. You refused to do anything creative or work with any of the interested parties to continue its success. You just quit on it. In doing so, you eliminated the senior center as one of your responsibilities. Millcreek's taxpayers are still paying for that. Like Dee said, the building's been empty for 9 months, cost us $67,500 so far. You can't seem to be able to rent it out. It's as if you went to the bank on the last day of each month, withdrew $7,500 of township funds, took it to the former Joyce Center on Legion Road, and flushed it down the toilet. You got what you wanted, the seniors kicked out, mission accomplished. By your actions and attitude concerning the hiring of a new director of Parks and Recreation, it's easy to surmise that you failed at your job as Millcreek's oversight supervisor. Your attitude is, stop interviewing candidates. Some of them are turning out to be too experienced and overqualified. Hire for Gasky's needs instead. Mission accomplished. John Groh, when you took office, you started out with 11 job responsibilities. In less than 2 years, you eliminated 2
Mr.
of them.
Dedinsky?
Time?
Your time.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I get the tone of what you're saying there, Mr. Didinsky. You weren't at the interviews. You don't know all the candidates. We had 5 of them. They went through the interview process, starting with the HR department, along with the former director, Jim Sperry.
Okay.
Okay? They worked their way on down there. We end up with 5 candidates to choose from. That's how that happened, okay? Now, let me ask you something. Do you know who Bruce Baumgartner is? He's the athletic director at Edinburgh University. We had 2 people that were of that same caliber. Do you think Bruce Baumgartner would be a Parks and Rec director here? Do you know what the Parks Department does? It's more than just the parks. We have the swimming programs. We have basket weaving. We have dance classes. We have artwork classes. Do you think Bruce would be well fit for that? He'd probably be bored out of his mind. That is my point. That's what I said in that in that email right there. I'm a little concerned why this thing has become such an obsession. This has been over 6 months now that she's been working here.
Right.
It's been over 6 months. And I'm not going to, well, I have to put Brian on the spot here. Brian, you oversee the Parks Department. Is she failing in her job?
She's doing a fine job.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
We go with the hiring process. Okay, also in my right to resell request I got, this was put out by Diane Lyons with Jim Sperry. They interviewed all the candidates. First of all, anybody...
Mr. Dedinsky?
They said
Please.
people
No,
applied.
I've started this.
Anybody that, I just want to rebut
Okay, I've
that.
started this, yeah.
Anybody that applied knew what they were getting. She says we had people apply from Florida to California. So we had over 60 applicants. Okay,
Right.
They knew what they were getting. Okay, so you bring them here. Now, Diane Lyons and Jim Sperry, they interviewed a lot of them. They came out with the top 11 candidates. This I also got from my right to know request.
Okay?
Okay, now they rated Ashley number 4. These are, we decided to interview the following 11 candidates. They are in order of preference. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ashley is number 4. So Diane Lyons and Jim Sperry, who had the job, made her number 4.
Yeah.
Okay, there were 3 ahead of her.
Okay.
And yet you picked number 4. That's my first complaint. Another
Okay.
complaint, so why? There were
Well, then why did we
better
end up with 5 candidates to interview then?
Well, they probably called it down to 5, but when then, you can
Okay.
look this up for yourself.
Okay.
I got it.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, she was the number 4 candidate.
Well, maybe you
Why
should,
would
you
you
should
be
be on our
number
next
4
round of
when the
interviews when we
other
interview candidates for jobs. Maybe we need you to help.
Well, I don't want that job. I'm retired. I'm very happy being retired. I'm
Oh,
paying you $100,000.
well, you seem to
a year
know
do
so
your
much
job.
about this stuff.
Well, yeah, if you got the Diane Lyons, who's the human
Resources Director.
and Jim Sperry, who had the job, they picked 3 candidates above her.
You know,
Why
we
don't you
also,
look at them.
we also had a candidate in there that was an aerobics instructor,
Well, maybe that wasn't one of the top ones. I don't think you took the
but it
best
was one of
candidate.
the top
Brian
5.
said you didn't take the best candidate. You said in your
That was her
email you
opinion.
didn't take the best candidate. You said
We
these
had-
people are too
it was an opinion.
overqualified. Nobody does that. Anybody in their right mind takes the best candidate. Like my reference to
Okay.
Tom Brady, if you get a chance to sign Tom Brady.
Tom Brady cheats, too.
Oh, really? If you get a chance to hire
Underinflating
LeBron
balls,
James,
yeah.
you take the best
Yeah.
candidate, according
Yeah.
to Diane Lyons and Jim.
Sir, are you done on your quest for information?
Okay, I'm gonna stop this. Mr. Dedzinski, I'm gonna stop this right now. This has gone beyond anything. The only comment I will make is that you take great liberties with paraphrasing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, Laura Eaton at 1540 West 6th Street. I'm here representing Mecca, and Mecca is currently in the building
Yes.
at 2709 Legion
Right.
Road, and we are requesting publicly that we would like to put together a lease agreement so that we can stay in the building and still lease there. We like the building, and that if that's possible, we would like to put that together. That would help offset the losses that are going on with you paying out rent right now. And also that we would be willing to help you maybe rent, like we did before, some of the office space there that would help offset the taxpayers having to pay monies. Because there's many people that have come to me and have asked that if we were to stay there, they would like to lease there again or come there and pay rent. And that would help you out in the losses. So that's up to you, but I'm just
Okay.
asking publicly that
Okay.
Mecca is willing to go into a lease agreement to stay there.
Just as a follow-up, I know you sent me a letter about 2 weeks ago. There's a draft response. You would ask for clarification of when
Right.
your free rent for 1 year was
Right.
up, August 27th. That is correct. I have it in a draft form to send back to you, let you know, clarifying what you're talking, what you requested in that letter.
Okay, thank you.
Now, I mean, just throw this out here. Are you willing to take over the lease for the entire building?
No,
I didn't think so.
no, well, that's
Well,
too big
I mean,
for us.
don't mean to be
No.
sarcastic, I'm asking you, but
No.
you know how much that lease cost.
Yes, I
right?
do. We have
It's
the agreement.
expensive. Yeah,
We the
you have a
agreement.
copy of it,
But
too,
if
yeah.
if we could rent our space, that would help offset some of your expenses.
I-
And we would be willing, at
Okay.
no charge to you guys, or no benefit to us, we would help you lease out
Okay.
some of the other spaces to bring in revenue to help offset those costs.
I understand.
And I think that could be done very easily.
I appreciate the offer. I don't know what we're going to do on that there,
Okay,
but I
well,
appreciate it.
we need to
But
know soon because-
I know, you do. That's why I drafted that letter for you.
Right, because
We'll
we're a
get that out as soon
nonprofit
as I
and
can.
serve a lot of people, and we'd like to.
Okay.
I think, Lori, if you have designs on remaining there, I think what we need to do is involve our solicitor
Yeah.
to a degree here in you getting some type of offer. Correct me when I'm wrong here, Evan. If you want this and you want to lease it, I think it's necessary for you to make a proposal to us that we can look at.
Okay, we can do that. Well, I'll put together a proposal and submit it. And who do I submit it to? You, Rick?
I would submit it to either myself or the board in general. We will forward it to
Okay.
Mr. Adair.
Okay.
And I'll be glad to do that right away.
Okay. But
Thank
still,
you.
I had that other letter going out to you then.
Okay, that's
Okay.
fine.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? If you give us your name and address, please.
Doug Prozan, 3286 Lakefront Drive. This isn't going to get any easier on you guys. I'm here to, I guess, beg or plead for you to drop this idea of another study commission. Nothing's really changed in the last couple of years since the previous commission met, of which I was a member, and you allocated $50,000 for that commission study. We took a lot of money out of our own pockets. We traveled at our own expense, and we only spent $3,000 of the township's money. So, as I said, I don't think anything has changed. The results aren't going to be any different. And the premise in the original original idea was that you wanted to have a business manager. Now I understand the idea has shifted over to a home rule charter, which we investigated considerable time we spent on that. And if you read that report, and I really, and I think I'm not alone as far as commission members, we don't think that that report was really looked at in its entirety and really investigated. Because the home rule charter, it would be the most expensive alternative. Every single ordinance, every single bit of rules and regulations and things that we have in Millcreek would have to be completely rewritten. It would take several years. It also has to make sure that every one of those complies with state and federal laws. So I really, really, really would like to see you drop that idea. If you want anybody from the commission to sit down with you to perhaps explain it a little bit better, I'm sure, I'm only speaking for myself, but I'm sure the others would agree. For this to be brought up again, seems to me that there's got to be some other agenda here besides just what's good for Millcreek Township. And I don't want to rehash some of the things that have been said, here in the last few minutes. But, I grew up in Millcreek, and Millcreek was always the most respected place. We had good government, taxes were low, everything was fine. Recently, it's not like that. I mean, I don't know how much exposure you have to people in the city and other, surrounding municipalities, but, they're really questioning, what the heck are we doing out here? And I really think you've got to look at beyond yourselves and beyond when you're gone and you're not here anymore. What are you going to leave behind as a legacy?
That's right.
And that was the purpose of the study commission. I mean, even though you may not have agreed with everything that came out of it, we were really exhaustive in our discovery. And we had 7 different people who had various different opinions on this thing to start with, and we all came together and realized what was, the best, at least in our opinion. But we wrote it in such a way that it could be a roadmap if anybody else wanted to do anything differently in the future. And I wish that you would really take a good look at that, and if there's any questions at all, we'd be glad to meet with you.
Yeah.
You mentioned, Mr. Groh, just a few minutes ago, the word, that this is obsessive, this whole discussion. Well, I could say the same thing about this idea of changing the form of government. When it was originally written and what was on the ballot, it said change the form of government. Well, it wasn't the form of government that even anybody wanted changed. It was the organization of it. The form of government is the second-class township code. It's worked very well for Millcreek, and it will in the future. If you really want to reorganize it some other way, you can do it. You can get a business manager. You can do whatever you want, because we've already fulfilled the study commission part of it. So.
Okay.
This is a more personal thing, but I can't speak for every other member, but, we spent our own money, we spent a lot of time. None of us were really political people. We had a couple maybe that had been involved in some form or another in politics. But to look at this again so soon really questions, well, what were we there for? It's so hard to get the public to come forth and help out government, and we did it, and now you're basically saying.
Doug, I'll give you a little more there.
Well,
Just
basically,
let this be your last thought, though, okay?
Well, basically, you're saying that, it was a waste of our time and effort, and it's kind of insulting, because we tried to do a good job, and we left you with a report that was, it's this thick. I mean, I realize it's hard to read.
I've read it.
But it's all there.
Thank you, Doug.
Okay. If I could just make a couple comments, and this is, for anybody listening in on this. First of all, there are 3 different questions that can be asked in this government study commission. You guys had done the research regarding question 1 about an optional form. The second question, which is a different matter altogether, involves home rule charter. The third question, I can't remember exactly how it's worded, but it has something to do with optional charter or optional forum there. This is just a question to be put on the ballot, and there are several things about it. First of all, if the voters are against doing the study, against forming the study commission, then I think that their answer is already known in their own head, that is vote no on the question. But if you wish to have a study commission formed to investigate and research this home rule charter, that is something you would want to vote yes for. But whether you vote no or you vote yes, you still have the right and the duty, I think, to vote for the study commission candidates. In other words, if you vote no on the question, it doesn't stop you from voting on the study commission members. So I would urge, this is an important matter for the future and what type of legacy we, as the supervisors, will leave. You bring up a good point. What type of legacy are we going to leave? It depends on how you look at it. I'm sorry to hear that you feel that it is so negative. Change is difficult, and it brings on controversy, it brings on news coverage. It always does.
I have no problem with change. In fact, we laid out how to change.
Yeah.
And that's part of my
Okay.
objection. You're
Well-
not doing what it was laid out.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the home rule charter.
Yeah.
If you read it,
Yeah.
we exhaustively looked at the home rule charter.
You looked at
because
it, yeah.
That is a form.
But that was not your duty at that time.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
it was, because the ballot question, although it probably was written the wrong way, was how should Millcreek look at the change of form of government,
Okay.
not the organization.
Okay.
The organization simply would have
Okay.
been a business manager, but the
Right.
form of government was home rule charter, second-class township code, et cetera.
Okay.
We looked at that, and that's what our
Yeah.
opinions were based on. So you're really duplicating the same study
No, that-
for the same purpose.
I think, Doug, that's the point that I was trying to make when we had this discussion a couple of weeks ago, that home rule charter was one of the forms that could be
Well-
looked at. The new question is more restrictive, and that it limits
Strictly to home.
to home rule.
Right.
Only looking at the home rule charter form of government.
Yeah.
Well,
And
again, if you read that thing carefully and you read the supporting evidence, you'll find all you need to know about the home rule charter. And again,
Yeah.
I'm volunteering myself, and I can gather anybody else from the commission, probably every one of them.
Okay.
If you want to sit down with any of us to go over any qualms you may have, I'm
Okay.
sure we'd be willing to do
Yeah.
it.
Well, you may want to share that with whoever is elected to a study commission, should there be one formed. You know, that's something too there, because you can enter that as evidence of a report you guys did
Well,
3
I'm
years
just
ago.
trying to save the
I
township
understand. I
grief
understand.
and money. Because
Okay.
I don't see any reason to do it so
Okay.
soon.
Okay. Thank you, Doug, appreciate it.
Is there anyone else? Hearing none, is there a motion for adjournment?
So move.
I'll second.
We're adjourned at 10:30.
You're watching the Millcreek Government Channel, powered by WQLN Public Media.